Right, everyone, before we get in today's show, here's a quick message from our sponsor. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, not another one of these sponsors, but you're really going to want to listen to this. You really do. Oxford Natural, they really get you primed to your optimum level. We've all been there, haven't we? Long nights on the road, whether you're at football, whether you're at work, fast food, takeaways, a beer, another beer, and you're always like, let's kick the can down the road. Our health can come later, but you all have the best intentions, but you're all saying, oh, it can come a bit later. I'm not telling you this is a magic pill or anything like that, but it does get you primed to your optimum level.
That's why we have teamed up with Oxford Natural, who have designed these supplements to help you along your fitness journey. Optimum Day, which is a combination of green tea extract, berberine and guarana, which is designed to help you with your energy, cravings, and keeping you on track with your wellness journey. And Optimum Night, which is also a combination of berberine, magnesium and ashwagandha, which helps you with your sleep, recovery, and helping you properly switch off.
And like I said before, this isn't a magic pill. It does get you primed to the optimum level. And we are just at the beginning of our journey. And already we are seeing the effects. We are sleeping better. We are waking up better. You know, if you know anything about me and Sim, we are not morning people. And we are very groggy in the morning, find it hard to wake up. And this, straight away, we were able to get up a lot easier. Like I said, the sleep has been a lot better. And we also, both of us, drink a lot of coffee. Not one coffee have we drunk since taking these supplements.
I haven't woken up fresher since I've been taking the Oxford Natural supplements a few days ago. And it's been a real life changer, if I'm being honest. And it's been absolutely brilliant. And you're going to be tracking us on our wellness journey over the next few months. But we're only promoting this because it works. And here's some real life proof on screen right now. Both Robbie and Michael Owen teamed up with Oxford Natural for their wellness journey, and you can see the results for yourself.
Get your supplements and start your fitness journey in the comments section below. You can see on screen, use the code WeAreTottenhamTV to get 70% off your first order, guys. And I'm telling you guys, this is no magic pill like I keep mentioning. It really works. So get yours, link in description below. But enough of that, let's get into some Spurs talk.
What is going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here with another video, and we've got Chris from the Red Men TV to talk about what we can probably now say is the impending transfer of Andy Robertson to Tottenham. Welcome back to the show, Chris. Hope you're well. What was your immediate reaction to hearing Robertson, first of all, leaving Liverpool, and now hearing he's potentially joining Tottenham?
Why? Why, Robbo? Why? I was shocked, to be honest with you, because, listen, I don't need to tell you, you guys have been a mess for a couple of years, really, haven't you? Obviously, this season, much worse than last season with the European trophy and all that type of stuff. But, like, yeah, I don't know. I was shocked. I was gutted. I've been gutted since he announced that he was going to leave us, to be honest with you, because I think there's still gas in the tank there. And I didn't like the way that, you know, when we brought Milos Kerkez in this season, he was basically given the shirt straight away. I was very much from game week one saying, you know, I think Kerkez should earn that shirt. I don't think you go through a season where Andy Robertson's the left back, you win the Premier League, and then he's replaced the next year. But you know, to be fair to Kerkez, I thought he was one of the best left backs in the league the prior season for Bournemouth. But it just felt like we should give Andy Robertson the shirt, give Kerkez a little bit of time to bed in. And it wasn't done like that. It was just basically handed to Kerkez. Mistakes were made by him over and over again. And then Robertson was brought in to shore things up, which he did.
So, from your point of view, was Robertson should still be your first choice left back?
At the start of the season, yeah. At the start of the season, I was very much Robertson should be our first choice left back. I think by the end of the season, Kerkez had a really good middle stretch. And he spoke himself about how much he learned from Andy Robertson, to be fair. And I think that really helped him. Really helped him to settle in, really helped him to grow as a player at a club like Liverpool. And by the end of the season, I think Kerkez deserved to be the number one left back at Liverpool. But you know, I don't feel like with us playing a couple of games a week with Premier League and Champions League or FA Cup games, whatever, I don't feel like Kerkez was ready for 55, 60 games. And I still don't feel Kerkez is ready next season for 55, 60 games. I mean, it says a lot that in a season where he was essentially bombed out to begin with, Robbo still ends up with like 2,000 minutes for us. 3 goals, 2 assists, you know, and still playing well at the end of the season. I think there's Personally, I think there's a lot of gas left in the tank for Andy Robertson. I think going to Tottenham this season will suit him in that, no European football. I don't think he's right to play 2 games a week. But 1 game a week, Andy Robertson's still got it.
That's brilliant to hear. In terms of why you think he's decided to not sign a deal, was it more coming from Liverpool or Robertson, do you think, why it hasn't been signed and he hasn't stayed?
He said that there was no contract on the table, as far as I'm aware. That was a few months ago now. So I think it was very much a Liverpool-led decision. I think Andy probably wanted first-team football as well, or guarantees over a certain amount of minutes. And I think obviously that will be a big part of the next club that he chooses. Obviously that's going to be Tottenham. The verbal agreement has been reached and stuff. So I think he wants minutes. I don't think he thinks he's done. I don't think he's done either. So I think he just wants to prove to everybody at Liverpool, himself and any doubters anywhere around the world, that he's still got it in him. He's still got it in those legs to play an important part. And yes, he is. He has come down. Decline's a strong word, but there's no getting around it. He's on the way down. He's peaked. But what he brings or brought to Liverpool in terms of his off-the-field stuff, the way he is around the training ground, the AXA, and the person that he is, the captain that he is, those are things that Liverpool doesn't look like they're going to replace. And that seems to me crazy, because you had a guy there who understands what it is to win. You got a guy there who understands what it is to defend, to go forward, how to conduct yourself as a footballer at a big club. Got the ability to do it as well, and yet we let him walk out the door. What's the option for Liverpool? I know you don't care about this, but we're likely to bring Kostas Tsimikas back. He was deemed not as good as Andy Robertson, and he was never as good as Andy Robertson, and now we're letting Andy Robertson go for Kostas Tsimikas, who's not as good as Andy Robertson. So it's just like, I'm just looking at it and go, why have Liverpool done this? This just seems to make no sense in a summer where we need a lot of bodies coming in and probably a lot of churn in the squad. It would have been a much easier thing to just get Andy Robertson sorted for me and try and keep him. As you can tell, I really wanted to keep Andy Robertson.
Yeah, obviously, it makes a lot of sense. Do you think if there was an offer on the table, he would have signed? Even if he would accepted, he would have had to accept maybe a bit more of a bit part role in the squad?
I don't know. I think it's a good thing that I don't think anybody can truly say, but from having met him from a couple of times over the years, from everything I know about Andy Robertson and have seen of him, and heard about him as well from people behind the scenes at Liverpool, his mentality is about playing football, and I think that's a great mentality. It's actually one of the things that kind of you can call into question of other players who are happy to just sit on the bench. I don't want those players in the squad now. If you're just happy to just sit there and play second fiddle to somebody, have you really got the mentality to be the best? Not for me. So I actually respect and like the fact that Robbo thinks I've got to go and get first team football here. So I don't think, if he thought that he got a lot less minutes than he deserved this season, I like the fact that he thought, you know what, we're probably not going to do this next season because I'm going to get less again.
You've said it a number of times, he's still got a lot of gas left in the tank. He's still got a lot to give, but you also did mention he's on the decline. What do you think? What version of Robbo are we getting? Do you think? What does he still do well, and what maybe doesn't he do as well as he used to?
Well, for me, you're obviously going to have to talk about assists for Andy Robertson and impact higher up the pitch. I think one of the things that he's still got is that impact up the pitch if he wants it. I don't think he's got quite the energy and reserves to go 100 mile an hour, 50 games a season like he used to. But again, 1 game a week, I think he's got that. There's the very famous press that he put on at Manchester City in 2018, where he went, I think it was tracked at 101-yard press. He's not going to do that anymore. He's probably been tasked with staying back a little bit more over the last couple of years. I think in 5 of his first 6 seasons at Liverpool, he got over 10 assists per season. I think I'm right in saying in his last 3 seasons, he's only got 6 assists, 2 in each of his last 3. So you can see there that he's not quite having the impact as high up the pitch as he was.
Maybe because he's not maybe getting there as much, right? I'm guessing.
Yeah, I think so. And I think, Liverpool's manager's probably had a part to play in that as well. So, to be honest with you, I think he doesn't want the flamboyant fullbacks like Liverpool used to have. I think he likes more control and a little bit more safe passing and all that type of stuff. But when you compare him to Milos Kerkez, like Robbo was still making those underlapping runs with Cody Gakpo in the side, or the overlapping runs. He arrives at the right time, and he scored 3 goals this season for us. It's not bad, to be fair to him. Like, it's more goals than assists this year. Defensively, he's still good, but he's had a couple of errors at times this season. Like, there was a game, I think it was against Fulham, where he was arguably at fault. Well, not arguably, he was at fault for the goal. And then I think he goes and gets himself sent off as well in that game. Like, that stuff didn't happen. Now, I'm not saying he was at fault every single week, far from it, but there was a couple of things that happened where you're like, oh, that never used to happen, or something like that. I think, if you defend corners like us, he'll be the front postman. There's nobody better at defending the front post from a corner than Andy Robertson. Like, he is bouncing on his toes, ready for absolutely anything, and we miss him defending set pieces when Kerkez is in the side for that. I also think that Robbo was, for a good 5-year spell at least, the best at defending the back stick. When a cross is coming in from the other side, unbelievable. And the best I've ever seen, actually. Like, I started watching Liverpool as a kid in the sort of mid to late 80s, but, as a 10-year-old in 1992, the start of the Premier League, we haven't had a left-back like him. And we haven't had a left-back who can defend the back stick like him. And there was a couple of times this season where he made mistakes at the back post as well, which we hadn't seen before. I think it was more like he knows what to do, but maybe couldn't quite get there in the way that he used to be able to, because obviously maybe not he slowed down, but wingers are so fast and all that. So, but his experience will give him an advantage at times. And I just think he's a really, really strong Premier League fullback and could still be playing for a top 6 club, to be honest with you, week in, week out.
Wow. You mentioned as well, which a lot of people have spoken about, his off-the-field stuff, how he is with the dressing room, his leadership ability. That's something, obviously, Tottenham, we've had a disastrous season. That's something that a lot of managers have identified, the ownership have identified, something that's really lacking within that dressing room. Do you really see Robertson coming into a club like Tottenham, the mess we're in, and really helping sorting out that mess within the dressing room, setting some standards within the group?
Absolutely. That's just the person that he is. He's been part of a leadership group at Liverpool in some capacity for at least 5 or 6 years now. Really, really highly thought of. At times been our captain. He's been he's the Scotland captain. He's going to the World Cup with them as well. Big part of who he is. He doesn't suffer fools, and he does it in a sort of a jovial manner, but he sets standards, and he knows what you need to achieve. I'd sort of hark back to when Liverpool signed James Milner. He'd been there, he'd done it, he'd come in as a free transfer. What were you expecting? Well, I wasn't expecting a tricky winger like he was in his early years, but if you speak to anybody from Klopp's side, James Milner was a bigger part of it as Jordan Henderson in terms of setting the standards, and Andy Robertson learned from James Milner, and he learned from Jordan Henderson, and these great sort of people around the dressing room, and he'll carry that into wherever he goes, because ultimately he's a winner and he wants to win, and he knows that the best way to do that is to set the standard and put people in the right direction and not suffer fools, and do exactly what the manager's asking to do, and make sure that the squad can cope without a manager. They've got to be leaders in the dressing room to be able to set the standards ultimately.
So you're confident looking at Spurs at the moment? I know we got a doggy at left back who struggled to stay fit, but when he is fit, he's a pretty good left back. But you're confident he's definitely coming in as Tottenham's first choice left back, and that's probably what he's heard to get him to sign the deal. You don't think he would have come if he wasn't being told you're going to be our guy?
I don't think he'd have gone if he was told that. He could have just, I'm sure he'd have gone somewhere else, and he would have been a first choice left back for somebody else, whether that be, there was rumours around Inter Milan or, recently Juventus, I think it was as well. I just think he's there for first team football. I don't see that he's there for anything else, to be honest with you.
And you think it's going to be a good signing? How would you rate the signing for Tottenham fans here? Like, you think it's going to be a good signing for us?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, I've seen Andy Robertson's best years, so I'm always going to side with Andy Robertson on anything, to be honest with you, because he is such a good person. He's been such a good servant for Liverpool Football Club. I actually genuinely wish him success. I want it to be a successful move, and I think that it will be, because he's just got that level of, I will not let this happen. If that makes any sense whatsoever. So yeah, I just think it's going to be a successful transfer for him. Whether it's a successful team, that's on the Serbian, whatever.
How do you think, just a quick one on that, on De Zerbi, how do you reckon he'll fit into how De Zerbi likes to play his football? Very short passing, possession-based, likes to build up from the back, inverted fullbacks kind of play. Do you think he'll suit that?
Robbo has done the inverted fullback stuff for us on occasion, and he's quite good at it. He's nowhere near like what Trent was for us or anything like that. He just doesn't have the passing range. What you really want is a little 1-2 with Robertson on the overlap or the underlap. That's where you're going to get the best out of him. And he's going to put that ball into the sort of corridor of uncertainty and really, stretch defences that way. But he does know when to go and when to sit, and he'll listen to a manager. Like you can see the changes between Jurgen Klopp's Andy Robertson and Arne Slot's Andy Robertson, where he does take what the manager wants on board, and he's not too old to learn new tricks, I suppose.
All right, Chris, really appreciate your time, mate. Really appreciate you coming on. I think everyone's going to be looking forward to Robertson a bit more, because I think the reaction to the signing is, are we getting a Liverpool cast off, a declining player, a player who's maybe come in to play a bit part role? So there's been a bit of a mixed reaction, but listening to what you're saying, I think it's going to get a lot of fans much more excited for the player we're actually getting rather than the player that he was.
Listen, I hope so. And I say, I really do hope that it is a success for him. He's brilliant. You'll love him. Honestly, he just gets it. He's been a supporter on the field for us, which is mad when you consider, he's a Scot at the end of the day. But he just buys into anything at a football club. And you saw that back at Dundee when he first broke through in Scottish football. I think he ends up winning Young Player of the Year back then in maybe 2013-14, something like that. He works dead hard at Hull. Comes in at Liverpool. I was on a pre-season tour the first season that he comes in, and speaking to a member of the coaching staff on the field at Fenway, and he said, like, off the record, Chris, this guy's good at attack, but he can't defend. And then Jurgen Klopp spoke about it recently, actually, about how he needed to learn how to defend. My word, did he learn how to defend? So he knows what his weaknesses are, and he knows how to work on those weaknesses and make them a strength. And I'm sure he'll continue to do that.
I appreciate your time, Chris. Thanks for coming on. We'll see you soon.
All right, man. Take it easy.
Cheers.